This episode of Built in the West is proudly sponsored by Rustic Elegance Magazine, a publication dedicated to the people, businesses, stories, and legacy of the American West. From ranch life and real estate to entrepreneurs, pioneers, community leaders, and Montana living, Rustic Elegance Magazine shines a spotlight on the voices and values that continue to shape the West today. Through storytelling, photography, podcasts, and local features, Rustic Elegance Magazine is preserving history while helping build the future of Western communities, one story at a time.
Welcome back to Built in the West, where we share the stories of the families, businesses, and people who helped shape the American West. Today, Kelly Bonnell is sitting down with Cheryl Standish, a longtime Paradise Valley resident, business owner, storyteller, cook, ranchwoman, and part of one of Park County's pioneer family lines. Cheryl's story carries the kind of Montana history you can't find in a textbook. Family roots on the Crow Reservation, bars with backyard zoos, horses brought by train from Oklahoma, ranch life, hunting camps, Yellowstone memories, chokecherry jelly, homemade biscuits and gravy, and the heart behind the beloved Prairie Cafe. This conversation is about more than one family. It's about legacy, grit, entrepreneurship, faith, community, and the old Montana values of treating people like gold. This is Cheryl Standish on Built in the West.
So Cheryl, for people that don't know you and know your background, how can you share how the Standish family first came to Park County and to Paradise Valley?
So the Standishes came to Park County in the late 1930s, and then actually my great-grandpa and grandma on both sides of my grandparents' family lived until they died on the Crow Reservation.
Wow.
And dirt and lodge grass. And so my dad was born and raised on the Crow Res.
Okay.
And then they moved out. My great-grandpa was a government wolf hunter.
Oh, wow.
Trapper, I guess
Yes.
they probably called it trapper. And so that ended in 1949. But so my grandparents on my dad's side bought the Wanigan from my grandma's great uncle in the early 1940s. I don't know exactly what year, but then they sold it to the Whithorns in 1945, and then they built the Prairie Bar in 1947. And my dad he became an outfitter in 1959. Yeah.
So when you I know where the Wanigan is. That's going up Old Chico out towards Daly's Lake. So where did the actual Prairie Bar stand, or what stands there now that I can get?
The gallery.
Oh, the gallery right across from where Mike and Miley live. Okay.
Right across from the barn.
Okay, from the big old barn.
Right beside the store.
Does that make sense? Okay. I was just trying to get it logistically in my head too. So yes. So what are some stories that maybe you want to share that like your grandparents maybe shared with you about like what was life like living out in Paradise Valley? Because there was no houses. It was only farms and ranches, and it was a long distance. I mean, that's a 20-minute trip to town now in a car. So, I mean, obviously I had some fun things.
Grandparents on the Standish side.
Yeah.
They had a bar and a zoo wherever they were. Okay. We're talking Red Lodge, Paradise Valley. So when they built the Prairie Bar, it also had a gift shop in it and a zoo behind it.
Oh.
A little zoo.
Okay.
So they had a mountain lion that lived with a deer. They just lived together all the time there. They had a bear that would put my grandpa's hat on and dance around with it and entertain the people in the bar probably.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
And so, so they had, then when they sold the Prairie Bar and they went down to Pine Creek.
Okay.
And they had a zoo there too.
Oh, fun.
And they had a mountain lion named Chi-Chi that was in Walt Disney picture. They also had 2 black bear cubs that were in, it was called Bear Country.
Oh, I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, they kind of were that. Then they had the Bank Bar in Wilson.
Oh, okay.
So that side of my family, they kind of were bar and zoo people.
But it's funny how those owning bars in Montana has been it's almost like a respected, thing to have here, because there's there's as many bars as there are churches in every town in Montana, or at least there used to be. And you literally could go through and look at the rosters of towns, and the number of bars would match the number of churches. It was That was kind of a joke for a long time. So, actually I think it's kind of fun that your family was involved in owning those things. So what do you feel like some of those values of, or just things that would be important to pioneer families that you could share of things that you would want that were part of your past that you would want to pass down to, like now you say your grandkids and great grandkids?
So can I go to the other side?
Oh,
of
heck
the
yes,
family?
please. Yes.
So my grandparents on my mother's side were the Taylors.
Okay.
Okay. And they sent my grandpa, my mom's dad, up on a train with horses
Okay.
from El Reno, Oklahoma,
Wow.
because my great aunt was homesteading in Miles City. And so El Reno was a military place, and they were raising horses and breeding them just for war and things.
Oh, wow.
Then when they came out with engines,
Yes.
okay, well, so they started killing those horses because we don't feed them anymore. So my great grandpa took a bunch of these horses, put them on a train car with my grandpa, my mom's dad, when he was about 9 years old, and sent them to Montana.
Oh, wow. What a story.
And so they went. Then they moved to Fishtail.
Okay. I love that area.
Then they were living up a minor,
Yes.
but just at the basin. So the basin there.
Okay.
Washingtons lived there, and the Taylor
Clan. Yeah.
Yeah, was my great grandparents there too. So anyway, then they moved down to, I know that they lived there during probably 1940 up there, because it was during the Depression and things were being rationed and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So then they moved down to, and they bought a place at Prairie in
Okay.
1945.
Wow.
Between them, they lived out by Cokedale and stuff like that till they bought this place. But so my grandma, when she was a child, she would take pieces of inner tube and cut it like a hamburger and stuff and pretend like she had a little sandwich shop.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that was always what she wanted to do. But when she married my grandpa and they bought this 465 acres and had cattle, he thought, yeah, she's going to make a really good ranch hand.
Yeah.
And she was. So she said, right across the street there where we are, instead of just taking my cream can over and selling it all the time, how about when people go by, I could sell them, would just have a little hamburger stand there.
Awesome.
And he said, no, don't even talk to me about that again. So she would cry, and then he would tell her, if you don't shut up about it, I'm going to sell that little piece of land that you want to put that on. And so she just said, but please, okay. So he sold it. And the people from the Wanigan, which are my other grandparents, came down, bought that little piece of land, and built a bar right across from his barn, and shooting off fireworks and being loud all night. And he has to get up at dawn and go irrigate. And these guys are just going to bed.
Yeah. How
and
fun.
so
They're the Wild West.
it was. So the Standish's son was a guitar picker and colorful and wada. So my mom, who was a teenager, but she was his only second ranch hand help, they could go down to the jail apparently and get guys to work for them.
I remember.
And then they would
could
bring them back. Yeah. So she goes across the street and ran off with the Standish boy
Oh.
and married. And so that caused quite a rift,
Between families?
Yeah.
Like the Hatfields and McCoys?
It was.
It was like the Standishes versus the Taylors instead of the Hatfields and McCoys?
Yeah.
Right here in Paradise Valley. Who knew?
It was Jerry Springer. So yeah. So then anyway, when I was a kid, I grew up at the Cedar Creek actually,
Okay.
but I would just visit in the summertime at my grandparents',
Yeah.
play in the ditch where it's
Yeah.
all green and everything
Yeah.
out there. Because on the other side of the canyon of Yankee Jim Canyon, it's
Yeah.
kind of sagebrush and
Oh, yeah.
things. So I liked it in the summer. And we could go across the street so I would wash the cream separator and I'd do stuff, and she would give me a nickel to go over and get a popsicle at the store.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was a big deal back then.
It was.
A nickel
And there
for a
were
popsicle.
two of them,
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah. Wow. Were they the Wilcoxons ones?
They were.
See, that's how long Wilcoxons has been around.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah. So what are some things that you wish about, I mean, you've seen a lot of changes as we all have, some good, some bad, some indifferent. So what are some things that you feel like you wish people could still experience about living here that they aren't able to do now?
Well, in the valley,
Yeah.
even when my kids were growing up, before they put in the pipeline, the gravity flow pipeline in
Yes.
Paradise Valley, there were trees growing along all the ditches. So the kids like to play in the trees and in the ditches. I mean, that's an experience in it. And now they don't have that. And the thing that has changed a lot is hunting. And the reason I could say that is I have a hunting lodge up above Gardner.
Yeah.
And my dad was an outfitter. Okay. So my dad really didn't like farmers because there was this deal that the brucellosis thing,
Yes.
we want to kill the buffalo. And so he just didn't like her. So we never had a garden in our whole life at our house
Oh, wow.
because we don't like.
We don't like farmers. That's funny.
Plus, he could just trade the Indians out of food because he grew up in their heads.
There you go. No, but that's very true. I mean, and who knows, we might be back to that system at the rate things are going these days where we're going to be bartering and trading, food and alcohol and hunting and everything else. So we might see some, big changes coming back that way because hunting is changing. I mean, having these hunting lodges, I know, that's something that we've talked about with several other outfitters that we know around here. It's a huge business and industry for Montana. And I hate to see it go away, but I mean, I don't even think we have as many hunters coming here as what we used to. And the amount of deer, I still have a better chance at hitting a deer here in town than I do out on the highway right now. So I think we do need to,
there's too many predators and too few.
There is.
Like last October, I had 4 mountain lions right at 9:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
3 of them right in my yard, which is not normal. But
no, especially up there. Yeah.
So between the wolves,
yes,
which have taken a big toll. So the wolves migrate during hunting season with the cows that are pregnant, follow them right over to Daly Lake. Now the cows aren't migrating back. So the valley is full of them.
Yeah.
But now people that used to let you hunt on their land, they have leased it out to some hunting groups that, you can't even hunt there. Yeah, that has changed a lot.
It's made a big difference. Yeah, because I know there was a lot of people that used to go hunt up around Daly's Lake all the time. I mean, that there would be like the trucks lined up, I mean, like the hunters were almost in a race to get to the top of the mountains up there to, get the elk. And you don't see that as much anymore either. So yeah, it's kind of sad that it's something that we need. I'd rather people need to be fed rather than feeding the wolves all the time. About that today.
Oh no,
because Kelly will get back on her soapbox and I'll get in trouble again because I got in trouble not too long ago for saying things I shouldn't have. Apparently. So yes. So everybody has a family name and like you've got your Standish and the Taylors and that type of thing. So what does, because we talk about like the history of family names and just that it means something. And we're finding that we're losing that. Like, what do those family names really mean? So what does, the Standish and the Taylor family, what does that name mean to you? And as far as like carrying on a legacy, for your family so that we can share that. So when your kids and grandkids and great grandkids listen to this, they can say, hey, that was my grandma. That was my great grandma. And that's why we're Standishes. And that's why we're Taylors. And that's why our name matters because that's who we were. So what does that mean to you?
So I would say entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Like I don't know anybody, my grandparents parents who worked for wages. My dad always said you can't get ahead working for wages.
I agree.
Something he thought.
Yeah.
And so
it's true.
And so I wouldn't have that place if they didn't have a guest ranch first. And,
yes.
and so that was a legacy that now I have above Gardner. And yeah, I think coloring outside the lines might be kind of how I would describe the Standishes. I mean, there are a lot of different thoughts about the Standish family. They kind of were.
But you know what? Everybody has their colorfulness. Like I said,
right.
We can put the fun and dysfunctional. And every family does. Every family has a story, but that's what makes the stories. And that's what makes the families, I mean, and not that it's a bad thing, because that's who we are. That's what built us. And and, molds us of who we are. I know, you're saying, you've had some colorful things in your family. I mean, we all have. I mean, if people heard stories about my dad, they think, oh my gosh, that man was like a crazy man. He was in bar fights and, things like that. And I was telling Jesse, it was really hard for me to date boys because they're like, well, that's Ray Bonnell's daughter. She didn't get to date me because, they didn't know. But I mean, so every family has that. But again, it's knowing that that's who your family was and what they built here. And I think that's what we have to, try and capture, because we're losing so many of those families. That's why we wanted to bring you in today, because we don't have, people like Edwin and Helen Nelson anymore. I mean, I loved and adored them. I can think of so many other people that have, Mildred and Howard Carter, loved them dearly, I mean, you look back to the Moleens and the Dailies and, so many, the Libsacks. I mean, all the family names up there. I mean, there's just, and the O'Hares. And again, it's capturing and remembering this so we know who those families were, because you look up who owns in the valley anymore and you're like, I don't know any of these names. You drive down the highway and not everybody waves like they used to. And those are the things that I miss, So those are things, like I say, we're trying to capture with all of this. And I think you having the Pray Cafe and having a place for people to come and to meet and share those memories and share the recipes of life. Because it is, like you say, it's not your ordinary cookbook. And I love that. That's huge. So tell us about how the Pray Cafe began and why and how you wrote your book. More about that.
Well, the Pray Cafe was when my grandma wanted to put her little hamburger stand down there. Just thought there does need to be a place like that here. And I was going to name it after her. But then I thought the Standishes didn't really marry into the valley. Like Shields and Paradise Valley are all married. And I mean, they're all married, except we were kind of the outcast of Poker Flats, Like she married into the Standish family, but the Standish family wasn't married to anybody else. And they were kind of color. Okay. And so I named it the Pray Cafe because then it's more of a community thing instead of just a certain thing.
Yeah.
And it's very important because like on Saturday morning, 14 people come in at once and because they all want to get together on Saturday morning and talk, and that's important, especially the faces are fading away. And the face of my clients are changing, new people coming in, but the old people are still coming in and they need to be able to visit each other like that.
They do. And I think that is something that we're losing because there's so much lost with social media, texting. These kids don't know how to have a conversation anymore.
No, more loneliness now.
It is. Yeah. And that's a whole other issue that we have here. So yes.
But I remember when I was a kid in the summertime, my grandma would, they talk about threshing crews.
Yes.
Like you're cooking for a threshing crew. Well, they did that. They would all get together and do each other's farms, help each other. And then I remember, I don't know at what point, if it was after haying season or what, but everybody went up to Nicholson's ranch and they just had, they didn't have all kind of tables. They just had blankets on the ground and stuff and had a community picnic with everybody around.
Yeah.
But now people don't know each other the same way.
No. When you even drive up there and you wonder, are the Wrigglers still here? Are the Redfields still here? I mean, it's like I've told Jesse, I'm like, that used to be the Weeders. I'm like, I used to be able to know every single person as you would drive down the valley of who owned what. And I said, now I don't know anybody, or at least I feel like I don't compared to what I used to.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's hard. I think it's hard on those of us that have been here our whole lives to see the changes and see those people. And so it's like I get so excited when I run into people I know or see, and I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody we know.
Right. And the new people that have moved in all through the whole county, I think,
it is.
Want to fence off because they came from somewhere where they don't maybe.
Yeah.
And they want to fence it off. Now you can't come in here, or they get along with that had the same. We just moved here too, and we've got this much money. Now they're friends.
I know, right? And it's like,
but
that's
they
not how we grew up.
involve.
No, they don't. And it's just like, years ago, like if I when, going to look for property or show property, I'll admit I've gotten myself lost a few times. We didn't used to have road signs. And, you used to just, I'd not worry about it. You would just go knock on somebody's door. And now you're accused of trespassing instead of being, oh, hey, who are you? What do you need? I was telling Jesse a story. I got stuck up in the Shields Valley a few years back and had to walk for miles. And it was a day of a bull sale. So no ranchers were home. And I literally am walking into Mike and Marion Mather's place up there in Wilsall, and finally just went into the house and had to get the phone, and back when we had phone books, and call somebody to come get me for help to get me unstuck. But, nowadays, I wouldn't dare walk into somebody's house and try and do that. Number one, they probably wouldn't even have a phone. But, this was 30 years ago.
Part of that.
Yeah.
I went to this class. Anyway, there were two realtors in there, two realtor ladies, because when somebody wants to meet them out and look at some property in Gallatin Valley, they don't know who's meeting them or whatever, just for their own self-defense. And that was an eye-opener to me.
Oh, yeah. I've had that happen, over the years, because you don't know who's out there. And it is a little scary. Yeah. There's, I think, more and more of us caring not just for animals, but for just our safety, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, things like that have definitely changed. So, yes. What have you learned? So how many years have you had the Prairie Cafe then?
12.
Oh, wow. So what's your favorite thing about it?
So I hardly ever get out of the kitchen.
Okay.
Because we're very busy and I'm the only cook. But I can hear that the whole place is just buzzing. It's just like everybody's visiting, because when they all come in together, they're all talking. Like you can't turn on any music even low, because a lot of them are here.
Yes.
And they can't hear each other. But it's just alive with conversation.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing about the cafe.
Yeah. What's your least favorite thing about the cafe?
Paperwork.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when I never wanted to be a short order cook.
Right.
I thought, I'm going to make this cafe, but I'm going to have it so that there's two options. And everybody's like, well, you got to have this, and okay, so short order cook.
Yeah.
I've never even cooked at a restaurant or anything before. I bought a book, Running a Restaurant for Dummies. And it said the number one reason that restaurants fail is putting the wrong kind of restaurant in a location. So I thought, I wasn't thinking about transient trade. I just thought these ranchers go out, feed their cows, and they have nothing to do. So in the wintertime, they just need to come have a place to have pie and coffee. And so I knew biscuits and gravy would go, and pie would go, and the stuff that would go were just these normal people. I wasn't thinking of someone else coming in.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing to make? Yeah.
I make really good biscuits and gravy. In fact, there are people that drive in and go, we're from California and we wanted to come here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to have to come out for biscuits and gravy. I know you had pumpkin something the other day. And I was like, sure, the one day I can't get there.
My grandson and his wife are running it for the summer.
Okay.
Because now I'm up on the mountain.
Okay.
And so she made those.
Well, fun.
Yeah.
Fun. And it's fun. Yeah, I always thought it'd be fun to have a bed and breakfast myself, but...
It is. It's just like, and the cafe too. It's just like having people coming to your house and you just feed them.
Yeah, just feed them, which I did plenty of that when I had my lake house. So yeah. Oh, goodness. So speaking, since your grandson's there, so what good advice would you give him and that generation, about growing up in Montana today? So of things that they could do to help preserve a little bit of what we have here.
Cafe, and because it has 5 stars and it has done well, I keep it going just like that.
Yeah.
Don't do something else, because
don't try and change it up too much. Yeah,
right.
No, I agree. And I think that is why things lose their, just that niche of why people actually go there, and I hear that a lot from people. So
right. And treating people well.
Yes.
Whether you agree with them or not, if they come into your business, then you treat them like gold.
Yeah, you need to. Customer service is everything. Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
And it's getting harder to come by.
It is. And I think people don't understand the value of customer service, whether it's in a restaurant or, like insurance, real estate. It doesn't matter where you go. Like even we went up to the Shields Valley greenhouse the other day. Nice young man, and I was like, this is the service you expect, just like when you come into the Prairie Cafe or, places that I like to go to the smaller, owned places. I don't like to go to the franchises because I want to support local, number one. That's the other thing you'll see me do a lot of and posting about that, just because that's the foundation of who we are and what Montana is. We just had the gentleman from the Montana Department of Commerce. So like he helps with grants and businesses and things like that. And it was super interesting he was talking about how resilient and how entrepreneurial and passionate people in Montana are about owning their businesses. And it's so true. And I obviously I have that in my family, and obviously me and my sister owns a store here in town too. So, it's in our blood. I don't know how you could. And I'm used to owning at least 3 businesses at once. Everybody's always thought I was crazy. And I'm like, I wouldn't know what else to do if I didn't have 3 businesses at once. No
railroad anymore.
No.
Something like that.
Yeah, you really do. So yes. So if somebody is coming to visit Paradise Valley for the first time, what do you hope that they feel when they leave?
That people accept them in the community, I guess. And, like if you go to just a city and nobody talks to you, that it wouldn't be like that.
Right. I understand what you mean, though. Yes, because, yeah,
they would know that it's a friendly place.
Yes. And I think,
a beautiful place.
Livingston Paradise Valley has always been a super friendly place. Yeah. And I'm just always used to saying hi as people walk by and whatnot. Yeah, I agree. I think that's huge. So are there any other stories that you wanted to come to share, or that you want to share with us about anything with your cookbook or anything?
When I was a kid, my dad cleared he was a logger too.
Oh, okay.
So he cleared Village, and Village, Madison.
Wow.
So in Baker's Hole, until 1959, in the summertime, we lived in tents in the park.
Oh, wow.
And the grizzlies still ate them.
Out of your head. You're feeding the bears. Now you get in trouble for that.
No, it wasn't a good deal, but yeah. So it was kind of interesting living we lived in a wall tent.
Oh, wow.
And my dad had this stove that you just put over the fire, and so all the cooking was done outside. His crew, which were guys that weren't married actually, and they had his campers, which the bears could open the door easy. But because they're bachelors and they're cooking in those, and they smell like grease, those bears would rip those up. And so as a kid, 4 years old and stuff, I thought, man, bears can even rip houses up.
Yeah.
And I was always afraid of the bears because of that.
Well, bears can be pretty, crazy. There's no doubt. When they were wilder back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, they're still wild, but I feel like there was more of them. And of course, we were out there with them.
Right.
More than what I think is allowed now. So you can go to Yellowstone Park and not see a bear at all. Yeah.
Well, when my dad was clearing, then if there was a bear, then the tourists would want to come look at the bear. My dad's trying to rent a cat and a chainsaw and everything else. Yeah. So he hated the sucker and tourists. So he gave my brother, who was like 8 years old, a slingshot and said, get some rocks. And every time you see a bear around that they're going to look at, you hit it in the nose with a rock and get it out of here so they won't be stopping.
That's too funny.
So that was his job.
Yeah.
And then he would get to eat supper.
I love it. A slingshot with the bears. That's too funny. So what's kept you inspired all these years to just keep forging ahead with all of the things that you guys have had and family and business and everything?
Well, I like to have businesses. I think if I lived in an apartment in town,
you'd go nuts.
I don't know what I'd do. I'd just start walking and live in the hills or something. I wouldn't have anything to do. Even right now, with those guys starting to run their cafe, I'm thinking of other stuff, like moving my other kids up, starting a commune.
Yeah.
Communal living, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
which I think is exciting.
I'm inspired probably because I have 8 grandkids, 12 great grandkids, people that need to still live.
Yeah, they do. No, I think it's amazing. And I think it's a brilliant idea. And I've seen some amazing plans. And yeah, I think we need, like we were saying earlier, we need to learn how to live together and help each other out more. Right. Like it back when it used to be. Yes, I'm down with that. So if your kids don't want to come, I'll come. I'll be right there. You already see we've got plants started. You should see our house right now. We've got all these zucchinis and what else? Peppers. We've got all sorts of stuff started from scratch in our house. So yeah, it's fun. So some other fun things too. So what is your favorite meal for you?
Probably elk steak and mashed potatoes.
Okay.
Salad.
Nice. Okay. And do you prefer coffee or tea?
I never drank coffee until I was 50 years old.
Really?
I know.
So you just started.
Well, 22 years. But yeah, but the only thing is I like it with cream.
Yeah. So being out in the valley, and this is always a fun one, like the sunsets and the sunrises are just breathtaking most days. So what's your favorite, a sunrise or a sunset?
So I live out at the base of Immigrant Peak, but so I love the morning sunrise there, but up on the mountain, I love the sunset.
Okay, that makes sense. Get the best of both worlds. So what's one of your favorite memories for the cafe that you have? Any fun stories?
Well, I'm always in the kitchen, but the first memory I have of it, like it was like Noah building the ark. I was just building it by stuff. Okay. And I didn't put any signs out that I'm building it.
Yeah.
And so then I waited until the night before I'm going to open it to go put signs on the road. And then I thought like a couple people come in and that'll be good because I've never even cooked at a restaurant. And so I put these signs out at night and had my 2 daughters there. And in the morning, these cars came driving in and we all ran into the kitchen. It's like a bunch of Okies that are hiding in the trees because they see a car. Yeah.
Oh, so how many people did you have that day?
I don't remember. Maybe 10 or 15 more than I thought. I just thought maybe one person would.
Yeah. Well, obviously word must have gotten out and people were waiting.
And I didn't tell people.
Oh, that's funny.
I was building it because I was like,
what if it doesn't work? Right? Or what if we get too busy?
Or what if I see people?
Or what if you see people? Is that why you hid in the kitchen? Yeah. Well, that's okay, Oh. So what's something that, as we're, like I say, building this podcast and building, trying to help create more of a legacy for everything too. So when we talk about, built in the West, what would that mean to you that you could share with somebody else of what that really means?
When I hear built in the West, I think sturdy, resourceful, useful.
Okay. I love that.
Durable.
Yeah.
That's probably what I think of.
No, I love that because that is kind of what it is, and you have to be durable and rugged to build something here in the West. Even nowadays, I think you have to be just as bold and, just steadfast as what we would have 20, 30 years ago. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't go away. That's for sure. Cheryl, can you tell me more about your book today?
So I used to make hats and T-shirts. That's at Crevice Mountain Lodge.
Okay.
Latte cups, because people want to take something home.
Yes.
And so then they would always go, this was really good. How do you make this? And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to make a little book with some recipes in it and stories of how that recipe relates to a family story.
Nice.
And then just sell cookbooks and chokecherry jelly.
And do you make your chokecherry jelly? I make chokecherry jelly and the syrup.
Syrup, yes.
And then
I serve that syrup at the cafe.
And then there's some days that I've had years where my syrup became my jelly, my jelly became my syrup. Yes, and vice versa. Yeah. Just to be like, I thought you were making jelly. I'm like, that's syrup now. Don't ask. So no, it's fun. Yeah, I'm going to definitely try some of your recipes here. I love this. So yeah. Oh, I love that and chokecherries. I mean, a lot of people don't even know what chokecherries are.
Right.
And they don't know that you have to fight the bears to get them. It's like, that's between chokecherries and huckleberries. And of course, we don't have huckleberries here, but yeah.
But I think chokecherries grow in just about every state.
Everywhere
that I've been, every state that I've been in, I've seen chokecherry trees and people don't know what they are.
No, they don't.
When I see them bloom, I think,
have you ever made chokecherry wine?
I did once. I thought, well, I'm just going to, the guy that had it used to be the old tavern at Jardine.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, he gave me this recipe and it was like for 20 pounds of sugar and it was enough to make this house full. So I penciled it out how to make like a half gallon of syrup.
Wow.
Right. So I put it in a plastic 1 gallon jug and put a rubber glove over it. Right. And so in the morning when I came out there, I was like, it was waving at me like, it was fabulous.
That's too funny.
So the deal is when the glove goes down, it's ready. Right. So then because we have so many people in our family at Thanksgiving, everybody got a little shot glassful because that's all that there was.
Yeah.
But,
okay. Well, that's still fun though. Yeah. We've been playing with fermentations and Jesse does like all the different fruits and stuff like that with the fermentations. And it's really easy for it to ferment right into alcohol and not even know it. In fact, there's been a couple of them I've tasted and I'd be like, oh, this has got a little kick to it.
Well, I was like, white wine doesn't. Anyway, I looked up what wine is made of. It's not just grapes. Like white wine is made with raisins, lemons, oranges, flower blossoms.
Yes.
I mean, all
sorts of
kinds of
things.
stuff. Anything
Yeah.
that you put together and let it ferment, and then people drink it.
Yes. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, you have a story about Wilcoxon's ice cream. That's fun.
Yeah, the truck broke down.
That's fun. You have as much ice cream as you could put in the freezer. That had to have been a rough day.
Yeah. They used to have, I don't know that they do anymore, but they used to have those little pints.
Yes. There you go. That had to have been fun. Oh, and you got a homemade fudge recipe. Did you ever know Peg Allen?
I knew of her.
She used to have an amazing fudge recipe. And she said it was all in the pan.
Oh, it might be.
Yeah, she had an old copper kettle. So, yeah.
Oh, copper.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't know who ended up with her pan after she passed away, but she did have some of the best fudge I've ever eaten. She used to put it out too.
Heavy cream is
Heavy cream.
when it's it.
Yes.
Um,
And then for making caramels too. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If you ever need an assistant cook, holler. I'd love to do all this. And I've gotten into sourdough too. So yeah, so that's been fun.
That's getting to be a big deal. I don't
It
know
is.
much about it. It seems tough.
It's kind of time consuming, but it's still fun. And everybody, I make a ton of stuff out of the discard. I make scones and cookies and pancakes and tortillas, all sorts of things. Yeah. So he rolls my tortillas for me.
I did that one year. I thought that'd be great. And then I got a carpal tunnel, but my chiropractor if you
push it all out.
Yeah, you have to do it hard enough that you have to cry uncle. You can't do it to yourself because you can't hurt yourself.
Hard. Yeah. I hear you. Well, remember that. Like, I sit too much on my computer. So yeah. Oh. So how many kids were in your family growing up?
6.
Oh, wow. Okay. So where are you at in the line? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of the middle child. Kind of
got the brunt of both ends on everything then.
No, I was just super quiet. Like
Oh, okay.
Chad, my oldest brother, told me a couple of years ago. Well, last year on my birthday, he said, "You're the oldest living female in our family." I thought, oh, Grandma Moses now. Yeah. He said, when you're a kid, I always thought, I wonder if she's ever going to turn out to be anything. As I just was quiet and kept to myself,
And look at what you've done. You've had an amazing life and, have a legacy to leave with your grandkids, with your restaurant. I think that's huge.
Yeah. Or up on the mountain.
Yeah.
They've got a lot set up for them if they
so choose to.
If they do.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's hope that they do take advantage of that. Otherwise, they'll be kicking themselves later.
Right.
I
think the root of that, and this is what I'm going through right now with them, is unity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So we have Bible study.
Yes.
Telling them that, there can't be backbiting, there can't be gossiping, there can't be, or it can't work.
No, that's so true.
It just has to have.
Yeah.
That's the deal. And the thing about, people knowing what the legacy of their family is important because, knowing your history.
Yes.
If you don't know who your source is, your dad or your grandparents, you don't know who you are.
No.
Okay? If you don't know who God is, you really don't know who you are.
That's very true. I agree.
So that's why it's important.
Yeah, it is. And so many people don't see that and don't know that. And trying to reel these younger kids into knowing who their Lord and Savior is, it's a big deal.
And who they,
and who they are. Yeah. Our inheritance in Christ. Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they say that you came from, right, go to you by way of the zoo. And if they say, now you go to this, self-help class that makes you feel good about yourself.
Oh, I love it. Well, no, thank you for sharing your cookbook and your stories and everything too. So yes.
And that wraps up another episode of Built in the West. Today, Kelly Bonnell sat down with Cheryl Standish to preserve something bigger than just stories, a way of life. From pioneer roots and ranch life in Paradise Valley to the legacy of the Prairie Cafe, Cheryl reminded us what it means to be resilient, resourceful, and deeply connected to community. These are the voices, memories, and traditions that built Montana and helped shape the American West. and they deserve to be remembered. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with somebody who loves Montana history, and support the local businesses and families keeping these traditions alive. And next time you're driving through Paradise Valley, stop into the Prairie Cafe, grab some biscuits and gravy, a slice of pie, and maybe even Cheryl's cookbook, Biscuits, Bears, and Bronts. Until next time, this is Bolt in the West, preserving the past, celebrating the present, and building the future of the West, one story at a time.
Out where the mountains meet the sky so wide, where dust and dreams still ride side by side, where builders rise before the dawn and ground with nothing but a vision and a stubborn sound. They risk, they rise, they learn, they fall, then saddle back up and answer the call. Because the frontier never left our chest. It's alive in the heart that's built in the West. This is built in the West, where the bold invest, where the dreamers ride and the thinkers test, where opportunity knocks and the fearless say yes. The builders, the thinkers, the leaders of the West. It's the rancher, the founder, the risk taker too, the coder, the banker, the ones breaking through. It's the towns, the ideas, the future inside, where the frontier lives on in the minds that ignite. This is built in the West, where the vision runs deep, where the brave chase the fight others never could keep, where the frontier lives on in the hearts of the best. The builders, the thinkers, the leaders of the West.